was raised in a small town in East Tennessee, population 2,500. I was raised by a pack of passive-aggressive Southern women. Yes, it's true. They taught me to say things like, "Oh, you're wearing that." Again. Bless your heart. We were a non-confrontational family. I learned how to, when someone was assertive to me or aggressive to me, I learned how to deal with it by playing the victim and then talking about it correctly later on behind their back. This did not prepare me well for life. No. It did prepare me, however, very well for the restaurant industry. Please, thank you, yes ma'am, no sir. And then in the 1990s, late 1990s, I found myself in Washington, D.C., waiting tables at the Daily Grill on Connecticut Avenue. Do you know where the Daily Grill is, Connecticut Avenue? Yeah, it's right downtown. It's basically a Fridays for anyone who makes over $100,000 a year. And I was waiting on a bunch of 20 and 30-year-olds who were living the life that I had been promised, but somehow neglected to achieve. And there I was one Friday night, and it was been really busy, and I'd been there since 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we had given last call, so I was extremely happy. My night was almost over. The other bars in the neighborhood would stay open until 3, but we closed at 1 o'clock. And right then, 2 ladies walked in, right after last call, and they were all in their power suits, and they looked very professional, but they also looked like they had just gone out to happy hour after work and continued on through the evening. As they kind of stumbled in, you thought maybe they had been drinking somewhere else, and they slid into one of my booths, and they motioned me over, and I came over and said, "Hi, how you doing? Unfortunately, we've already given last call." And they're like, no, please, can we have a drink? So I went over to the bartender, and I pointed to them, and he's like, "No, sorry, not going to do it, no drinks." So I go back over, and I'm like, "I'm so sorry." She goes, "No, we really want to drink." I went, "Bless your heart, I can't do it." And she stood up, and she said, "Well, I guess you're useless." And I felt my stomach kind of fall. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to stand up for myself. And I reared back, and I thought I was crossing the line, and I said, "I think you have to be the rudest person I've waited on all night." And there I thought I'd done it, right? And she reared back, and she said, "You think I care what you think about me, you silly faggot? You're probably just jealous because I get more dick than you." Okay. Really? Faggot? That's where you're going to go? What is this, 6th grade? Okay, yes, that word does have some weight. That word does have some bite. It had a lot of bite when I was in the 6th grade, and it was hurled at me on the playground. And that word had a lot of bite when my uncle used it at the Thanksgiving table after I'd come out to the family. And yes, that word had bite when I was 18 years old and I was moving into the dorms and some frat boys screamed it at me. But guess what? I moved to the big city. I found out who I was. I went to the parade, and I found my tribe, and now standing before you is a proud gay man. And if you think you're going to stumble into where I work and use that word and crack my face, you've got another thing coming. And let me tell you, so you will know, and one day your children will know, I'm getting all the dick I want. Yeah. That is exactly what I wish I had said. What really happened was I became that 18-year-old kid again. I'm outside the dorm, and we're unloading the car, and this car of frat boys goes by, and they scream, "Go home, faggot!" And I just freeze. And I look up, and my mom's there, and my sister's there, and I have to look into the face of people I love and feel shame. That's what happened. She just stood there. She started to walk away. And I looked up, and the whole dining room has come to a halt. And I look at my tables, and they're all just staring at me. And one guy, he catches my eye, and He just shakes his head and looks down. And I don't know, something deep inside me snapped as I saw her walking by. And she started to go to that revolving door. And I marched right over there, and as she slid into that compartment, I slid right in there with her, and I stopped it. And I trapped her in that glass revolving door, and I had her. And years of being called names and being bullied started pouring out of me onto this poor woman. I was like, don't you ever come into this restaurant again. I know who you are. I know what you look like. I work here every Friday and Saturday night. And I really just wanted to go butch on her ass. But what happened is I just got all Nelly and started screaming and waving my hands. I got so mad. You know, when you get so mad, you start to cry. It was like, and I got what my mother used to call the hitches, where, and I'm trying to tell her off, and I'm trying to tell her she's banned for life for some reason. Like, that really meant something to her. And when I was finished, I hadn't thought this through. These things do not go backwards. And she leaned into me, and I could smell the alcohol in her breath, and she's like, I'm a lawyer. I'm going to own you. Watch this. Help! He's trying to kill me! She starts banging on the glass, and people from inside the restaurant have started to gather around the revolving door to watch what's going on. And I'm pushing on her, and she's beating on the glass, and I'm pushing on her. She's beating on the glass, and finally I gave one big heave-ho, and we both tumble out onto Connecticut Avenue onto the sidewalk. And I jump up, and I run back into the restaurant, and I run back to the back room where the manager is sitting, and he's counting money. I'm like, hello. Listen, this woman came in, and I refused to serve her after last call, and she called me a faggot. He's like, well, that's unacceptable. Is she still here? I think so. He said, well, I'm going to go and talk to her. I'm like, 1 minute. It seems like I trapped her in the revolving door and banned her for life. That's what I did. And then I pushed her out onto the sidewalk. And he's like, heavy sigh. And he goes out to talk to her, and I go back to my tables, and my tables are throwing the money at me. I am making bank, and I'm collecting all the bills and everything. And then the manager comes up to me, and he positions himself so that his back is towards the woman, and he's facing me, and he starts going like this. She's not going to leave until I fire you, so this is me firing you. Not really, but pretending. So I want you to take off your apron and look really dejected and walk to the back of the restaurant. And I was like, really? This is what we're doing? So I did it. I took off my apron, and I went back to the back of the restaurant. And then the next day I go into work, and the general manager's there. And he calls me back to the same back room. And he has this write-up form for me. It seems like they didn't think I was being very hospitable. So on the comment line I put, she better be glad I didn't go butch all over her drunk ass. And it gave me 3 days off. And I took that 3 days, and I got a new job. Thank you.